I recently received such a thoughtful and heartfelt question from one of our subscribers. While I was answering this question, I thought a lot of you might have similar questions, so especially if you are a beginner. So if you don't want to waste your time and energy studying English with wrong methods, I highly recommend you finish this video. It will definitely cut the cost of your trials and errors throughout your English journey. And motivation-wise, I also ensure that you'll feel like I can do it too. Now, let's dive into this amazing Q&A. So, first question. I like The Simpsons and plan to watch it. Should I watch without subtitles, or is it better to turn on English subtitles? Also, if I can't understand it, should I keep listening without subtitles, or is it better to watch it without subtitles first, then with English subtitles, and then with Korean subtitles for interpretation? Yeah, it was a very detailed question, and even though I've already answered this question a lot on this channel, it's still good to talk about specific cases for better understanding. So I think it was a very good question for all of us. And my answer was this. First of all, if you're a beginner watching The Simpsons, even with English subtitles, maybe tough, because The Simpsons has too many difficult expressions and sometimes requires background knowledge about the US society to understand the jokes. So it's probably not going to make much sense at all. However, if you really love the cartoon movie, I would suggest just turning the subtitles off and focusing on getting used to the sounds first. But still, you need to be flexible and most importantly, having fun. Because if it feels like stress, you won't stick with it. Therefore, my approach really depends on the content and just my feelings. For example, when I watch something super visual, entertaining videos like MrBeast, I would just watch it without subtitles just for fun because I can enjoy it even if I don't catch every single word. It means it's very clear that's what's going on in the video. And here, the overall sense of comprehension is the point. So when it comes to something like a documentary film, an interview, a movie, or a graduation speech where understanding the content is key to enjoying it, I would definitely start with Korean subtitles or, if possible, bilingual subtitles to fully grasp the meaning. And after I get the gist, I would switch to English subtitles and watch it a few more times until I can feel it really comfortable. Just understanding the overall sense of the argument is enough. So the bottom line is, don't force yourself to watch something you find boring. If the content feels tedious even with English subtitles, just drop it. It's far more important to find the content that you genuinely want to watch, not just content you think you should for English learning. I remember this one time I was watching so much English YouTube content because I was genuinely enjoying it. And then I actually started feeling guilty, like I was wasting my day just scrolling my smartphone on the bed for hours. But then it hit me, oh wait, this means I'm actually doing it right. Because it was the moment when watching English YouTube became something I naturally want to do, not just something that I have to do. I really want you to experience this feeling someday. So here's the next question. The second question is, should I keep watching one video again and again or various videos without subtitles? For this question, I think there's no right answer because both approaches have pros and cons. But if I need to answer what I've been doing, I'm leaning more towards watching various videos because I can mostly understand about like 60 to 70% of the content, and it feels effective to improve my listening. But if I want to improve my speaking by picking up some expressions from the video, I would rather keep watching one video multiple times. If you do so, I think it's probably more like shadowing. So fundamentally, it's up to you, and it depends on what your strengths or weaknesses, and basically you have to do both of them to improve your speaking and listening. Third question, is passive listening really effective, and is listening to pop songs included? Here, passive listening means just having English content playing in the background without actively focusing? My answer is a resounding yes, absolutely. And yes, pop songs are definitely included if you enjoy it with the lyrics as well as the melody and rhythm. And I know some of you might feel skeptical, thinking like, how can this help if I'm not even paying attention? But let's think about it. Haven't you ever heard a super popular song on the street or in a cafe so many times that you just start humming like just whatever, like yeah, it happens even when you never intentionally memorize a song, and that common experience shows how our brain works. It learns so many things unconsciously by getting accustomed to its circumstances. Of course, this kind of passive learning won't give you immediate, dramatic improvements, but I truly believe that it's a crucial long-term strategy for boosting your overall fluency and familiarity with English. In my case, I still listen to English podcasts just like background music for at least an hour every day, and I'm listening while I'm doing other things, for example, cleaning, washing dishes, working out, commuting, etc. And I probably only understand about maybe 20% of what's being said because I'm not focused. It's like those popular songs, it just sinks in over time. However, you still need to remember that language learning effectiveness drops when you are stressed. So if listening to English in the background feels too annoying or even overwhelming, it's totally okay to switch to Korean podcasts or music for a while. Then when you feel ready, just switch back. My advice is don't be too rigid. Think of English as something you are incorporating into your life naturally, not a mechanical task. Because from my experience, trying to force it too much can actually be counterproductive. Next question. Do I have to do shadowing? My advice here is specific for beginners, but don't focus on shadowing yet. Rather, you better focus on making your own sentences slowly. Shadowing is great for improving your speaking speed, intonation, and rhythm, but as a beginner, your priority should be learning to say something you need. You need to practice forming your own sentences and expressing your own thoughts slowly but accurately. And I highly recommend practicing writing a daily journal and then trying to speak them out. Once you reach a more advanced level, then you can start paying more attention to things like accent and rhythm by shadowing. Finally, here's the last question. How much should I spend on grammar and vocabulary? And how many books should I use to study? For a practical English conversation, it's not about how quickly you finish your textbook. It's more about whether you can take what you've learned and actually use it to express your own thoughts in everyday conversation. And to do that, a basic understanding of grammar rules is absolutely necessary. Regarding study time, as I already explained this in the previous video, 20% of the time to practice English is enough for beginners. For the remaining time, just focus on math input while practicing writing and speaking as much as you want. The point is just immersing yourself. As for books, I really recommend sticking to one book and going through it multiple times. Focus on deeply understanding and trying to explain it in your own words. So if you are working through an English grammar or vocabulary book, stick with it and keep practicing writing your own sentences with those words and grammar. And a daily word count, like 50 words, seems actually quite a lot for me because I believe a vocabulary is not about the quantity, but it's more about studying accurately and consistently and making those words your own through repeated input and output practices. So you need to take your time to understand things deeply. It might feel too slow at first, but building a solid foundation will give you a huge boost later on. And don't feel anxious, just trust your process.